31 my time.
All right, we're going live. Wait, and
I think we're already live. Yeah, we are.
oh yeah,
Look
there we
at
go.
your little thing.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Morning Coffee Review. I'm Jason Artley here with Michael Ashave, and we're talking all things Bluebeam Review. I'll let Michael do his spiel, and then we'll talk about what we're going to talk about today.
Yes. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. We have a couple topics. Again, at any point, feel free to interject with any questions you have pertaining to anything Bluebeam. The topic is just more of an overview, so feel free to jump in at any point to either A, talk about the topic or talk about something else, and we will run through them.
Absolutely. So today, May 11th, the topic that we had chosen was templates. There's all sorts of places inside of Review where you can use a template to streamline your workflow. So I wanted to show off a couple of those off the top of my head that I would use. And it's all about saving time during the day. So the first one I'm going to do is I'm going to start a brand new file. So I'll come over to File, and I'm going to go New PDF from Template. And this is already preloaded with a bunch of different templates already, but I've made a couple. So here I've got my title block. So I can just click on that. Now I've got a blank template that I can use. If I wanted to do like general notes or details or something like that, I can go in here. I actually have a profile that has details in it. This one. No, it must be my other one. See, this part I didn't research or rehearse. This one? And see, there's a setting in here for when you're creating your tool sets to have them show up in all profiles. And guess who didn't do that? This guy.
You. Maybe it's in the civil.
There we go. So I can bring in my details. I can do whatever if I've got them saved. These details kind of went goofy because I had a weird font, but you can see where I'm going with that. In a typical workflow, I would do this in CAD, but since I know this plan is going to end up in PDF format already, I can use that template to have my title block in there already. I can fill this out and it doesn't even have to touch CAD. So pretty unique way to do it this way.
We could even, if we wanted to, sketch some details too, right?
Yes,
little grid lines. Good
or
idea.
copy text or whatever else. I can go to open my specifications, get those printed in here.
Oh, like a snippet?
Yeah, there you go.
I'll monitor the thing.
It's a good question. Grab all these notes.
Automatically set scale. Well, you would set the scale to the page first, Peter, while Jason's doing this, because then the scale would be set to the page. So it would always be on the page when you open up that. Secondly, automatically fill in the date. I don't know if you had a template with a stamp, would it already do that each time you start a new one? That would be a good question. I've never tried it. So you could stamp it with a dynamic stamp and then save it as a template and see if it does update each time you start a new template. That would be my first go at it.
That was something that I was going to do with this template, was to put the date stamp here. So let me move that away. So instead of having a piece of text for the date, I used the stamp function for date right here. So the question is, if I come back tomorrow, will this be tomorrow's date or today's date? The date it was placed?
Why don't you do time too? Why don't you do one that has time and we could test it now.
There we go. Date and time.
There we go.
Go. So what I'm going to do is I've created a brand new document, and with this document, let's pretend I just set this up and it's not a template yet. What you can do is come up to the top and go, when you go to save, it will save it. But if you go over to new PDF from template, you're going to see an option here at the bottom to save as template. So now I have a brand new template. This is going to be going to get my naming conventions right. 34 dated template. Now I get this new logo up at the top, lets me know that is a template. So currently that says 836. So I'm going to close this and I'm going to create a brand new one, and we're going to see what happens to that stamp. So I'll go new PDF from template, dated template. It kept the one that was in there. Did not update to 837.
Bet you could do with JavaScripting.
That's a good question on that one. That's what we love about doing these morning coffee reviews, is getting questions outside of our everyday.
Yeah, and if anyone else has experienced or tried that, please let us know.
How do we get Bluebeam to automatically fill in the date? Would be to use the dynamic stamp to put that in, or JavaScript.
What about a header and a footer? Would that work too? Or is that, so yeah.
Ooh.
That would be my next one. But that's only in one area, right? You can't, it's not like you can move it around like a stamp. Yeah. File date.
File data.
Data.
Oh, let's do it in month, day, year. Okay.
See, that's it. You can't move it. It's in the bottom. It's gonna be the bottom right.
Okay. Yeah, I was hoping there was a refresh option for the stamp. There it is.
Yeah. So I mean,
maybe that would take a little bit more time to dig into, but I kind of like where you're going there. Stamp properties. Is there a way to refresh that?
I don't think there's I don't think there's a refresh button. Let me see. For a stamp. I guess, well, you could right click the stamp, right? And see.
Yeah. Check.
No, it's just gonna add a check to it.
Yeah, that might not exist.
What about hotkeys? What if we hit go to help and go to the hotkeys? Look for refresh. Do a search.
Ooh, well, I don't know. Is that going to be the terminology? Stamp.
You're right.
Good questions. All right. Refresh document. Shift F5. Okay. Nope.
Nope. I didn't even know
once
there's
it's
a
in there,
refresh document. What is it refresh?
I don't know. Good question. Is it an option in the properties? Not that I saw. So just for that stamp, you probably just have to replace it.
I mean, yeah, at this point, you might as well just grab the same stamp and place it.
Yeah, that's easy enough to do. Refresh could be for when multiple people are working in the file, certainly.
Yeah.
All right, going back up to your question there, Peter. Set up a template with a title block using forms. So fill in the date, paper size, and scale. Paper size. I don't think there's a way to get it to automatically do that. That's JavaScript, probably. So find that one. Script. Is there something?
No, he said he did use one creating
Oh.
forms. How can I get Bluebeam to automatically fill in the date? And that's what we were trying to do, the page size and the scale.
8. Yeah, you'd have to know what the string is because there's nothing in here. Default. Interesting. Okay. Good times, I suppose. All right, so let's keep looking at other templates. So I've created one for this title block. I did want to show off one for a markup summary. So markup summaries are something that I like to do. So let's go find somewhere in my collection of files that we can mess with here.
And is anyone in the chat, either in YouTube Live or here, not familiar with the markups lists?
Where is the file I'm looking for? There we go. This is one that I should really clean up. So let's do that. I've done this a time or two.
Maybe a couple times, right?
There we go. All right. So if you haven't seen the markups list, here's a file, generic file, has a bunch of different callouts and markups on it. And then we go down to the lower left-hand corner, we have our markups list. And inside this markups list, depending on what columns we have shown, we've got labels, we've got comments, we've got dates, we've got authors, status.
Jason, one question. Is the columns in the markups list pertaining to also the profile?
I always forget if is it related to the profile or the PDF file that you're in.
It's both, but yeah. Because you can create a custom column and not save it to the profile, and it will show up when you open that PDF. Or you can save it to the profile. But how you organize your columns down here is in that specific profile only, right? So if we wanted to move, because we can drag the way these are being shown around, we can sort by the data here, the organization of them, and what's being shown column-wise is attached to the profile. So if we switch the profile, it'll move with it.
There we go. Yep, it's different.
Yep.
So I should make one just for markups.
Yeah. And then also you can save the custom column. Again, so if you make a custom column specific to the PDF you're working in, which is great, it will save to that PDF natively automatically. But if you wanted to save it to the profile, you have to hit Save Profile. There's a button when you go to custom columns to do that. Thanks. Now, my question is about spaces if you have time.
We've always got time, Peter. So yes, please enter in your questions. If you put them in the Q&A section instead of the chat, it makes it a little easier for us to find those questions. But please type it out. We'd be happy to talk spaces with you.
I guess what question do you have about spaces? What is spaces? How do you create spaces? Is there a specific thing about spaces or altogether spaces?
All the things. All right. So while Peter's typing that out, I'm going to go ahead and show you the template thing before Michael so rudely interrupted me. Made me think.
My bad.
All right. So I've got my markups here, and I've got architect comments, contractor comments, engineer comments. I got a whole bunch of stuff in here. And I want to do a summary because maybe I'm sending this to somebody who's not going to be using the markups list. And they need to know what comments were added to this sheet. So I'll come over here to the summary, and I'll create a PDF summary. Now this time, I'm going to use a template to create this. So I will have it export as a PDF, and I will append and hyperlink it to my current one. And then here, I can choose a template. Now, by default, it's going to usually say none. But then you can go in and import one. So I've imported the one that I created, and then now it's going to live here. So next time I open up review, like I did this morning, that template will be there and it will be already set up. Now, when you bring in that template, it's going to ask you to define a page area that you want your summary to go into. So you can use these little grips and make it match the area that you've specified. So in my case, I've created an ATG one that has project name and a markup summary. So here, what you'll want to do is take out markup summary. Well, I want to take out markup summary because I've already have it in, but I do want to leave the file name because that's important. I could copy paste the entire string if we're on a server location. That might help people find this. I can append the date. So that would be a good one to do. Adding the date to that. And then I can set up my style, my thumbnail, whatever. Now I can go in and choose what columns I want it to see. I don't care about area because that's not a part of this work, right? I do want author because I want to know who made the comment. I've got my label, subject. That should be good enough for now. And I can go in and filter certain things. If I only want the comments from the architect, I have that ability to just select that here. Instead, I'm going for all of it. So with this setup, I can save it. Again, that's kind of making a template out of this, so I don't have to go through that same process every time. But using this template for my markups, I can hit OK. It's going to rip through all of those comments, and it's going to condense them into a summary, which will appear now. There we go. So here's my summary. Oh, it did keep markup summary. Interesting. That's redundant. Here I can enter in the project name. And then there's all my stuff. So it looks a little nice, a little more professional than the default ones out of review. And it's a really easy way to use templates. And then from here, since these are hyperlinked, well, where I don't know where this is. You click on it, boom, it'll take you right there. This would be a really good spot to use spaces as well. So if spaces were set up, you'd have a column that told you what space it is. And then you wouldn't have to necessarily click on things because you would see them here. Oh, it's in meeting room 217.
So the question was, Jason, outside of this excellent template talk, was Peter created spaces, they're just not printing to page. So if you go in and try to print out a space, it's not showing up on the printed set. I've never printed out spaces. Have you printed out spaces, Jason?
I have not.
Let's go to print and see what settings, if there's any specific settings we have.
I
For
print spaces right here.
There we go. Maybe that's not enabled.
All my markups print in color. Well, only the space color is missing. Yeah, go to your print settings and try that and see if that makes a difference. When I toggle that on, I am seeing this kind of flicker a little bit. So if I went to a file that had spaces in it, which I don't think I have handy.
I do. We'll switch real quick.
Yeah, I'll let you show that one. Not schoolboy error at all. That is one of those things that happens. You'll see us do it just about every week. It's just you get used to things, or there's so many neat things hidden inside of Bluebeam Review that they're easy to overlook. So hopefully that solved your problem. But Michael's going to find a file that has spaces in it, and he's going to test the same thing on his end.
I'm not going to print a page out, but I'm going to see if we see it on the preview.
Yeah, because we don't have printers. I suppose we could print it to another PDF, but
I do have a printer, but it's in the other room, and it's only 8 by 11.
Same. I forget that it's even there. There we go.
Let me change the colors though.
This is the one that you printed from Revit with the spaces pre-done, right?
Yeah. So they come out as a default color.
Yeah, if you want to see how that's done, check out our video from probably 3 weeks ago, where we
Yeah,
did, oh, it was probably a month ago, where we did printing from Revit directly with the spaces pre-populated.
and I also have them. There's multiple pages in this. I
No, it's just
also
one.
have, no, it's just the one. Oh, because I didn't, it just was sideways. That's my fault. I confused myself. I also have a video, click to video on it as well. So landscape, it's not being shown, right? I can't see them here. And boom,
There you
there they
go.
are.
Yep.
Sweet.
So just a little setting there. That's a good one. Good
And
question. Thanks for
also
bringing that one.
print visible hyperlinks. So if you want people to see that.
That'd be interesting. Visible hyperlinks. What would it print? Just there was a link there, or would it actually put out the web address?
I think it's the like blue highlighted area of where the hyperlink is.
Hmm.
Thanks,
Good.
Andrew, for stopping by. Looks like
Yeah.
he took off already. But yeah, the blue, whatever, I guess whatever indicator you give your link option, right, is what you would do. So
Okay. All right. Enough of my questions. Let's go back to David's question. So we're talking about the summaries, and one of the summary questions is, can you set the summary so it totals the measurements and only shows you the total instead of giving you all the little things that add up to the total? Maybe.
So is that like a polylength question?
Not necessarily a poly length. Do your, I know you've got one that's got flooring in it, don't you? You know, areas and stuff.
Yeah, that's the one we want to open. Okay.
Areas, lengths, counts, all those things. Because yeah, it will show up in those totals, but can you filter it? I think you can.
I don't have any areas in this one. It's fine. I'll just make some.
Because you'd want to show count.
Oh, I'm like, why is that going? Because I'm going polylength. I was like, why is it one by one?
Oh, the way you do it now is export a CSV with all the details, then create the subtotals in Excel. Yeah, that works. But
So here you can, for polylength at least, right? You can go to properties, so you don't see the segmented ones. So you don't show segmented, just the total run of whatever that length is. But are you saying in here? Because you don't want, so let me copy the same one.
no, take a look on your screen right now where you've got area measurement. The top of your area measurement shows the combined value of your two areas.
Yes.
Right there.
And
So how do we get a summary of just that without those? That's a good one. That'd be a custom column.
What would be the custom column though? Because I do know you multiply this, you could get a total from it, and it would give you this total.
So yeah, what would our total flooring be? Total. Interesting question. Way to go, David.
Yeah, I would just do the total, like whatever the markup is for it, total column, then that gives me the data for it.
So if you kick out a summary right now, will it give you that 72.7?
Yes. Well, actually, if we just sort by the data, not by that, we sort by the subjects, it will. So let's sort by that.
Yeah, there you go. So we'll export that. You could filter it. You could create filters for different types and then export that. So maybe that's your way around it.
Yeah.
So
I
the
would do
summary
it.
can do that.
Yeah. You still get this number when you print it out.
Mhm.
It just has to be in the same run of whatever it is. So like if you're printing, I don't know let's just use, because I do this a lot with mechanical, electrical, plumbing designers that are trying to just get like run lengths of piping, electrical run lengths. When they do that, right, they want the total so they can get a cost as estimation. If I could say it right. They want the total times a value, and then in here, so they don't have to keep going to and from Excel, which they could if they had it quantity link, but they don't have extreme, so they just want to have it here. I'm talking about a specific client. That workflow worked for them because then they just did the total cost in here and it runs through here. So
Question from Doug: would not selecting totals on the markup summary dialog work? Go back to your markup summary button. PDF summary. In here, is it totals? Selecting
no,
totals.
as long as you're sorting by the data, you need to make the custom markups specific to what it is. If you sort by the subject, you'll get the totals here, but you'll always get the individual values too, right? So if you just have it like this, I wonder, is it gonna just print out like that, which is 2? I don't think that matters with the indicators here because that's the sub data. Let's see. Yeah. Yeah, see, it still did the sub.
On the output
On the output tab, let's see. Output tab.
I don't see totals.
Oh, he's talking about for CSV here.
Oh, there you go. Include totals.
That's markup and totals, just totals.
There you go. I did it. So that
For
solves your
CSV.
question, David.
Yeah.
If
Thanks,
you're doing
Doug.
a CSV, do it that way. All right. Way to go. See, that's what we do. We're building our community. We got Doug helping out David. This is beautiful. Thank you so much. Love having you guys all interacting with one another. That's what this is all about.
Mm-hmm. Teamwork makes the dream work.
Oh, you went there. All right. Well, let's go look at another question from Peter here. It appears to be that there's no way to include spaces in the legend creation tool. Is this correct?
Yes, I haven't used spaces because spaces is a sub column. It's not seen as the markup. Does that make sense?
Correct.
So this, see how there's nothing here in the markups list. So I can't assign it to that value of it being there. That's just how spaces are created in review. And over here.
So if you wanted a space or a color to that, you might want to do like an area for a polygon that's filled in, and then you could do a legend from that.
No hatch. Right, and then just make this opacity here. Whoa.
You all right there, bud? Because you're all over the place.
It was going over. It was moving for me. I had a ghost in here.
There we go.
There we go. Right, so you can
see now that shows up as a markup. Then you can make a legend from that.
Right. Now I'm wondering, is this going to show up? What if I change the angle? Oh, it's a rectangle anyway, so it won't let me. What if I do a poly?
Yeah, polygon should do it.
Doesn't show the image size.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Does it show the color though?
Yeah, it shows the color.
No. That's a little trick that is always forgotten by myself, is that symbol size for your legends.
This
Legend shows
size.
count typically. And it doesn't have to show count.
No,
I
this
mean,
is
we
all
could,
custom. So under your columns, you edit whatever subject data you want to show.
if you just wanted to show what it was, green being this and blue being that, and do it that way through the legend columns. We could almost do a whole show on legends sometime too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Very cool.
I'm mad that it doesn't show the shape.
Yeah, that would be cool if that was dynamic, but
I get it.
I'm guessing that
a
it's
lot.
assuming that you're going to have more than one polygon in here, and then it wouldn't have a way to do every single one, right?
No, that makes sense.
So working off of color coding only.
Which is still good, but
Great. Absolutely.
what was next? Is that it?
Correct. All it sees is polygons as the same type of markup, not necessarily the shape of the markup. So yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
Good.
That's why when you're creating these legends, I did it by selecting what markup I want added. You do have to be wary. If it's the same subject, it's going to add additional to that specific one. So you're just grabbing out of the box, plugging and playing. Remember, I always highly suggest creating custom tool sets for legends.
Now, let's see. Can we templatize a legend to get back on our theme of the day?
Yeah, your template would be your custom tool set, right? So whatever custom tool set resides in, your template would be placing it from here, right? So my general measurements, gear symbol, legend, and you're creating a legend from your tool sets that you've created, which would be your template. Does that kind of work, or is that a loophole of templates?
Oh, I mean, when we say template, that is kind of broad, but whatever we can do to save time, to add efficiency, and therefore increase your ROI that you're getting out of purchasing review. Nobody likes clicking the same thing, doing the same thing every single day. If you can save a couple clicks, the better off you'll be.
Yep. So with this, when you do them from here, as you're placing them, they will start to count in the list automatically. So you don't have to go through here from here and say shift, right? Add to or control, and then add them to the list. They will already be populating in the list as you're dropping them onto your page.
And that's one of the tricks that I learned right here in the morning coffee review. I didn't know about the gear symbol legend thing. I was always right clicking in the markups list.
Oh, really? The opposite?
Yeah.
What I was
Yep.
saying? Okay.
Yep.
You can also pin this specific tool set to, I've been really using this pin feature lately. So you can start pinning things to an active tools bar. Yes, toolbar. Sorry, had to rethink of the name. Toolbar if you wanted to, by the way.
So show me what you mean by that.
So let me see, what do I have open? I have the file. So there it is. Bam, get my symbols.
Whoa, that's cool.
Yeah, so I've been really into this pinning thing, but it totally ruins my profiles. So when I'm trying to teach people from like something they should have, I have things all over the place now. But yeah, so you can start pinning things. That's what this pin feature is for. See how it's populating over here?
Mhm.
You can pin it to an active toolbar menu that you have as well. I guess not. Oh no. Oh, just not close all. I guess it doesn't want you to close all.
That would be bad.
Yeah. But yeah, so this is just that tool set now that I specifically wanted in that toolbar menu. So you could not even have to have the flyout. You could just have a toolbar, because remember the toolbar stays within the interface, right? So it won't move outside the UI, right? But the panels do move outside the UI. So I could grab this panel, have it on the second screen, but then I can always still go up here and quickly grab which markup I want to utilize the most. So
That's a
another
neat trick.
template would be profiles, right? We could say a profile is a company template designed with the user interface. With the end user in mind, usually is how a template would work for a profile. What is the end user going to use if somebody's just starting out at your firm? What toolbars do they need to have active because they're frequently using those specific set of tools, and conveniently located. I do know review out of the box comes set with the review profile. And when you're using this, the toolbar menus are on the right hand side. That doesn't really jive too much with me. I came from the computer aided design environment. We're used to the toolbar menu being at the top for most of our softwares. So creating that user interface that kind of resonates with the end user or sets a company standard, so that if I'm trying to teach Joe over there in the corner, I can easily send an email or a quick whatever internal messenger we have, because I know his UI because it's the same as mine, right? So setting up these company profiles is definitely huge, as well as tool sets too.
Yep. Anything to create efficiency. So I'm going to read off a couple questions for you.
Okay.
First one from David. Is it possible to create a template sheet that you could attach to the front of your document that would capture all of the content in the following pages automatically? So it would be an automatic markup summary. I don't think it can do that because it would have to be
No.
dynamic then.
Yeah.
Because you always want to kick that out afterwards. If you create your markup summary and then you add more markups, those don't automatically show up in the markup summary.
Correct.
So good question, but no. All right, another question from Peter. I have created a new document with a template and then taken a snapshot from my client's PDF and flattened it into my new document. I then do all my markups. If I get a new PDF drawing from my client, how do I swap out the old client snapshot with a new one so that my markups remain on top? That's a good question. You could always have that be maybe not use the snapshot tool, but insert that. Can you put a PDF on top of a PDF? I know we
Yeah,
did a file
we can overlay PDFs,
overlay.
but
Yeah,
that's when things align. So
because we could replace that with if it was on a server location where the next you overwrote the server location, then it would just update the file. This is an interesting one.
I would still do the snapshot, flatten it, and just make sure when you flatten it, it's retrievable, unless you're doing the flatten, right?
Right.
I think you
Same
can still
exact.
unflatten it. So yeah.
Or here we go. What you can do is if you take their PDF file, you can export your markups and just import it on their new file. But if you've got another document that takes the snapshot part of it, oh, layered page. There we go.
Yeah, I'm trying it.
Does it do what we think it does?
It just added another sheet.
Well, that's not what we wanted. Interesting.
Let's try it with from layers. I wonder if we could from layers. To here. To here.
So you're using layers to do this. New page.
No, because it need to be a
Yeah.
markup to add it to the layer.
Yep. I think you're right. Very interesting. This is maybe this is one that we're going to mess around with later.
Yeah.
Good question though. I think for that one, you might be better off exporting your markups from one and just importing them on the new updated file. Then you can continue working on that.
Well, I think his workflow was the snapshot that he takes from the client, right? So this document, maybe this door or this area updates, right? He copies this, puts it over here somewhere, right? I
Right.
want this to update. You could just, and he has markups on it or whatever. He flattens it. You could come back and just say, oh, okay, new one, unflatten, delete, and get a, oh, this one won't unflatten. There we go. And then put a new one in here, right? So that could be the workflow.
Right. But the problem with snapshots is that you can't always grab the same size, right? If you're trying to grab a 4x4 spot, it's going to be off unless you're clicking on something exact. So to get a proper representation where you don't have to remove or adjust your markups again, be tricky. Did you just send it to the back? Question, David. Don't know.
You could, but you're still gonna. I guess that would be a blend mode. So yeah, you could.
Right click, order, send it back.
Yeah, you could for it, but again, see how it's here. So if I still did, let me do a secondary one. I'm still gonna see things over it, right? So your blend mode would have to be different, like a screen or something. Some kind of
Color burner. I've never messed with all of those to see exactly what they do. That'd be a good PDF file that we could create that has them all laid out.
Yeah.
Because we've got so much free time for that.
Yeah. Okay. Keeping me on track, Jason. I like it.
Yep. Good question. Good question. All right. Anything else? We got any questions over there in YouTube land? Ooh, David's got a hotkey for us to try. All right. We could use Window Shift S to get a different style snip.
Yeah, the Windows Shift S, but is that pasting it in as an image then?
Looks like it is.
Can we get with Windows Shift S? Is it the same size though?
Whoa. I've never seen this tool before. And I live by the snipping tool.
There we go. Here's my screen. I use the Windows Shift S just to get snippets of windows. Does that make sense? Like, because when you try to use the snippet tool, you can't use it in a sub window. You have to click out to indicate the snip. Right. So when I go and try and hit new here, I can't be in a sub window to go and hit new.
Oh yeah.
So you use this window key Shift S to do it. But yeah, it still doesn't have the same size, right? That's the thing. It's not like a size button, I could say, the snip.
Good question. I like it.
Yeah, you could, and then crop, right? I could crop like, hey, I only want to see this.
There you go.
Yeah, I think that would work. Yeah, I think David's right. This would be a little closer, right? Windows Shift S, crop to what you want. And a little closer.
Yeah, not too bad. So give that a try, Peter. See if that works for you. And let us know next week, or send us an email with your results. All right. Back to templates, since we've got no more questions currently. Do you have any templates that you use? I know I've created a couple just for demos and stuff, but do you have any that you use on a daily basis or that you show off in your trainings?
I haven't personally created one, but I do know when people use templates for PDF summary, they don't like too much the native one and how it looks. And they like more of the cell indicated templates. Do you have any of those? Instead of thumbnail, they use like a table. Do you have any table summaries?
No, I don't. I've only done that a couple times. That's on my list of things to do with that whole free time thing.
Yep.
What I've been working on in my free time is actually a template for quantity link takeoffs. So
Okay.
this is going to go to a future episode where we're going to be talking about quantity link, another one of those extreme only functions. But I'm trying to work on a template for that in Excel. And again, me and Excel, we're not the best of friends, but I've got something in the works, and I'm going to templatize a quantity takeoff Bluebeam file, Bluebeam review file that's automatically linked to my Excel spreadsheet for my quantity link.
Specific to what data are you using it for?
Like in my case, I'm creating one for electrical cost estimate.
Okay.
So I have a Bluebeam file or a PDF, a file from Bluebeam. So again, Bluebeam's the company, reviews the product. Bluebeam gave us some training files. I've got one with a bunch of electrical conduit and outlets and stuff on it. So I'm using that one as my data set to create a cost estimate that is linked to Excel automatically.
So, yep. With templates, I usually see a lot of the tabular forms modifications for how these print out. And another template, like you were saying, Jason, is Excel. And if you are partners here at ATG, with ATG, you do get global e-training. I know one of my own colleagues here, Matt Lynn, who actually helped on one of the morning coffee reviews, use the Excel training in there. So if you want to get more savvy in Excel, highly suggest checking that out too.
Yeah, global e-training is fantastic. And yeah, Excel is one of those things where I know a lot of people who are really good at it, but there's always something to learn. Just like with Review or CAD or any of the other software that we deal with, how people use it is, it varies so greatly. It can do so many things. So I think I'll check out the global e-training and level up my Excel skills, because that's always been a weak spot for me.
Did you know this right here?
Create spaces cover sheet? No. Does that only show up when you have spaces?
Yeah.
Whoa. What did it do? Oh, it's showing you the space and then
The markup in the space.
okay, all right.
So it's the space and that markup in that space.
Seems like that could be better though.
Huh.
Interesting. Maybe you'd want bigger spaces for that and more markups per space. All right.
Alrighty. Oh, and another template would be to set up a studio. That's what we were alluding to as well, is in studio projects. Although you can natively have your folder structure already set up beforehand, I don't know, maybe let's just use ours. Internal training documents is what we have for one of our dashboards. and other stuff that will be soon to come. But if you want to get access to some of this, right, you want the folder structure to be set up maybe beforehand when you're starting to dump files in. Yes, you could do it here, which is another great way, right? If some of us didn't know that, you could easily just drag one folder in and it's going to maintain its normal Windows Explorer file structure. Or if we have Studio Prime, which some of us may have, Studio Prime is an additional cost. When you log into studio.bluebeam.com, if you don't have Studio Prime, you still get a studio access. It just helps you be more efficient in your studio sessions. So like if a session times out or something like that, oops, not create, you'll get access to restarting that session if you wanted to as well. Reactivate the session, I guess you would say. But if you pay for the subscription portal, you get access to being more insights on your data. You also get this thing called automizations here, or automizations, I guess you would say more properly.
Automations.
Automations. Yeah. Yes. So from here, if you wanted to create a new structure, you can go to create new, and you go to one that you've already created, right? So one that you've taken the time, like my dashboards one, I don't want to have to go through and recreate a new dashboard for a new project, right? If I already did that, why do I have to re-go and set up the folder structure for it? Is there just a way to automatically do that? There is. Actually, you just go and you select from one that's existing. We'll just do this one. And it's going to have and maintain even the subfolders if you wanted to as well, allowing you to automate that, and you can hit save, and you can go through and create those specific projects new from the automation of whatever one you have. You say it better than me, Jason.
Automation.
There you go, automation.
It's 2 hours later for me, and I've already had more coffee than you, so that's what I'm blaming it on.
Okay. Some words are hard for me to say. So as we go through here again, you can automate the workflows that you have available for specific ones. So yeah, this
That's
is another great.
way to,
yeah, you can talk.
I like it.
Also in here, you have the ability to go through and get insights. This is an additional subscription cost, and it does collaborate with like Procore. So if you have Procore integration, that will allow you to go and to do that. You can see your studio sessions and studio projects and some other insights of your usage in terms of what's taking place. This only works though for the people that you add to it, not for all of your licenses that you already have. So you start adding people to it to get your specific data and people that have been invited to from those specific members from a session into a project or anything like that as well. So
very cool. So we've talked about creating templates to create new PDFs from. We talked about templates for PDF summaries. Talked about templates as far as profiles go and making profiles that are templatizing your interface. Studio Prime templates. What else do we got? We could, anything that we're doing inside of Review can be saved and reused. So that's what a template is supposed to do, is give you a better starting point, so you're not starting from scratch every single time.
Mm-hmm. And we could talk a whole session about profiles because everything is tied into that template profile, like your tool sets, right? Your custom columns that you're making as well. The way the UI is organized. So again, profiles are a huge part of how Review works, and it's definitely underutilized. Majority of the time, people are just going from out of the box Review, and this is how they keep their interface the whole time. Mm-hmm. Profile even maintains, if this is brought out to a second screen and you save the profile, it will populate on that second screen. I haven't tested it. If you don't have two screens, where does it go? It may just default back to the center of another screen. I don't know. I've never tested it. So that's another good one as well.
That sounds like a future topic. Hint, hint. All right. What else? Let's look at, so when we're
About
creating
4
a template
minutes.
inside of Review,
Hmm.
do we have a template folder? We do have a template folder. So
Yes.
if we're creating company standards, so here at ATG, I work a lot with Civil 3D templates. Michael works with Revit templates. We work on all sorts of templates for all sorts of software that we sell and support. But one of the things that we're keying about is that everybody, if you're in a company setting where multiple people are starting from the same templates, how do you deploy those? And one of the ways you can do that is what you see on Michael's screen here, is to change that template folder to look for a server location that would contain all of your, ABCD company templates in it. So if you had one for title blocks or markup summaries or quantity takeoffs or whatever you wanted to put in there, you can have it look for that same folder so you don't have to navigate to it every single time.
Exactly. And there's also, I believe, an email template. Yep, email templates as well.
Yep, I've created a couple of these. These are fantastic.
Yeah. So if you're frequently emailing somebody, you can automatically have a specific message. Because when you hit email, if no one's used the email feature, it actually attaches the document that you have to it, to your native use. So whatever's in here, like we have Outlook, so it'll attach it to an email and ready to send off.
Yep, because normally you're opening up Outlook, then you're navigating to the file, and you're uploading that PDF. This saves you a bunch of clicks, and that's what
Attach
today's
file.
was talking about. Yep, let's save clicks. So we'll use the email function. Ooh, good comment here from Doug. He loves the email templates. Just remember that custom templates come out as standard text, not HTML. So for
Okay.
us at ATG, our signatures are HTML.
Mhm.
So our templates show up a little funky with that. And confirm. Good comment.
All right. Any questions before we finish up here? We have a minute left. Anyone from YouTube world tuning in and have a good question?
David's got a comment. You can just drag your file access tree into your email, and that would also attach it. Yeah, that's one way to do it.
Yeah, that's true.
I like the little tips like that. All right. Well, with that in mind, we've got no comments over there on YouTube. If you have any questions, ideas, anything else about Bluebeam Review that you'd like us to cover in the future, type it into the chat. Email us. We're easy to get a hold of. Take a look for our previews on LinkedIn or out there in YouTube land. And if you've got an idea for a future session, let us know. If you're a part of this on Zoom, you'll get a little questionnaire at the end to see if there's any other topics that you're interested in. We look at those every week. Helps us create the content that you're after. So how can we help you? Let us know. We're always happy to discuss anything, as you've seen us do today.
Yes,
Thank
we
you
read
so
those
much.
comments, so please comment. Feedback helps us help you. And then we had a raise hand. Was there a question
Francisco,
there?
just said very good information. Well, thank you for the feedback, Francisco. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for
Alrighty.
joining us today. We'll see you next week, May 18th. Topic to be determined.
Yes,
We'll see
to
you
be
then.
determined. See you then.